welcome to another Let's Talk Tuesday.
Yay!
Hey, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
All right. Y'all, we back for another Let's Talk Tuesday.
Yes.
My name is Cherry. And right underneath me is Crystal.
Hey, y'all.
And we are here on behalf of Deeper Life Gospel Center's social media team.
Yeah.
And we want to just give a big shout out to our pastor, Pastor Wade Abel Sr. And we want to just say thank you to him for, continuously pouring into us every
Yes,
week.
thank you, Pastor. Yes. Amen. Amen.
Listen.
Beautiful.
Also, before we get started, before I introduce our special guest, which you have seen her before, I just want to remind you, if you're watching this and you didn't see Sunday, we celebrated our first lady, Lady T. We celebrated her birthday.
Happy birthday, Lady T.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And we celebrated her birthday on July 5th.
Yes.
Which was, Sunday. And if you would like to bless her monetarily, we got some information right here on the screen for you, and you can follow those instructions, okay? If you would like to bless Lady T monetarily, please follow the directions on the screen. Go to dlgc.org, click Give Online, look for Lady T's birthday, type in the amount you would like to give, select how you want to pay, and select the frequency, which would be one time. Click Next, add your personal info, click Next, and follow the directions on the next screen. Let's be a blessing to our First Lady. Happy birthday! We love you, Lady T.
Amen.
All right. And happy birthday again, Lady T. We love you, girl.
Happy birthday, Lady T.
We love you.
Okay. So,
Look at my heart.
y'all, back by popular demand, okay? I want to reintroduce to you and introduce you to our special guest, Minister Sonia Taylor.
Hello. Had to do the church head.
She is back, and thank you for coming back to the show again, Minister Sonia.
I'm so happy to be back.
Yeah.
Thank you for the invitation.
Of course. All right. We're going to jump right into it. So today we are talking about the will of God. How to get in the will of God, get lined up with the will of God, and how to stay there.
Yes.
That's really what we
Amen.
talked about, how to stay there. And just in case you might have gotten out of the will of God, how to get you back.
Get you back.
Back where you need to be.
Yes.
So,
Indeed.
Minister Sonia, for some people who may have never even heard of what we're even talking about, like what the will of God? What is that? So, what is the will of God? Like, what does that mean?
Well, according to the Word of God, when God created us, He specifically had a plan for our lives individually. And just like in the Garden of Eden, when He created Adam and Eve, He created them to be in fellowship with Him.
Mm-hmm.
So the same thing applies to us. He has a designated plan for each and every one of us while we in this earth. We're supposed to be in fellowship with Him, but He strategically want to set us in different places so we can carry out whatever His plan is in the earth. So that's why we can't go by somebody else's will. We have to go, or somebody else's lifestyle. We have to seek the Lord and say, okay, Lord, why did you create me? What was your strategic purpose and your plan? What was that plan when you had me in mind, when you created me? And that's how we're going to carry out the plan of God in the earth, by knowing what His will is for us individually, because He has already placed in us exactly the tools, if I may say tools, or the gifts. He already placed those gifts on the inside of us. And He has already given us the grace to do what he's called us to do. So when he tell us to go here and go there, and if it seems like, oh Lord, I can't do that. Yes, you can, because he has already given you everything you need to carry out his will.
So the will, God's will for our lives is like on an individual basis.
It's on an individual basis, and it can be sometimes collectively. You know, sometimes God will use a husband and a wife in ministry, or God will put you in a certain ministry, because whatever he has designed for that ministry, you have to become a part of it, because it's all a part of his plan. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important that when we get saved, we have to seek God's face for, okay, Lord, you don't just want to be waking up, going to bed, waking up, going to bed, waking up, going to bed. You know, you want to know exactly what his plan is for your life, so he can give you the grace to carry that plan out. And there will be fruit behind it too. Oh my goodness. If I may give, let me tell you this. I'm gonna make this really short. I was gonna go, and this is something so minor. That's how God cares about every little detail of our lives. My husband was asleep, and I was just gonna go and get a carry out. Okay. I was gonna pick up us something to eat. I had 3 restaurants. My first restaurant I was gonna go to, the Lord said, nope. I was like, oh, well, dang. Then I had a second one. Lord said, nope. And it was the third one. And the third one was actually closer to our house. But in my mind, I didn't want that one. I want to go. I want to go to Famous Dave's.
Ooh, they got some good barbecue.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. But the gentleman, I did curbside delivery. I was obedient. I didn't understand why God was sending me to Outback, because I wanted Famous Dave's. But I went to Outback, and when the guy came to my car, he asked me my name and everything, and confirmed that I was indeed the person who had placed the order. And I said, yeah. So he came back, I gave him the money. He came back with my change, and he shorted me. I was like, when he came back, I said, okay, I'm going to wait for him to come back. I mean, it wasn't a huge amount. It was a very small amount.
Right.
So I'm going to wait for him to come back, and I'll let him know that he shorted me. So he said, oh, ma'am, I'm sorry. He said, did you get your receipt? I said, no, you never gave me a receipt. So he said, okay, I'll be back with your receipt. So he said, oh, I did short you. And he shorted me 95 cents, which is no big deal. Right. So he said, well, let me just give you $1 because we don't carry coin. And I was like, you know what? No, don't even worry about it. It's no problem. And the Lord told me to bless him with a tip. And you know, I tip anyway. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, he shorted me. And then
you ain't get no tip.
Right, you got to still bless him.
I said, oh Lord.
Wait, hold on, Minister Sonia. Now it's easy to tip when everything go well.
But
But go ahead, continue.
So the Lord said, give him a tip. So I'm like, okay, but I know enough about the Lord. When he tell you to do something, you better find yourself doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. So when the young man came back, I gave him a tip. I said, the Lord told me to bless you. And he looked at me and he said, oh, thank you. And I felt so good. I was like, Lord, thank you. Because maybe that young man needed, maybe, I don't know what was going on in his life. You know, I don't know why God sent me, but I know that I was obedient and God just worked it out. The young man was smiling. He took the tip and I was like, okay.
So, you know, Pastor was saying Sunday that, you know, this week we should try, when we get up, instead of just getting up and going, when we get up, try saying, God, what's your will for me today? What's your will for my life today? Because his will for your life, yes, overall it's God's will for my life, but there's like a daily will for your life too.
Yes.
As Pastor Bell explained it. So he was saying, when you wake up, you know, wake up and say, you know, when you spending that time with God, don't just ask for stuff. Don't ask him to bless your day and help me not cuss nobody out and, you know, all that stuff. Whatever it is you pray for, make sure you include, God, what's your will for me today? What's your will for my life today? And you got to understand that when you ask him that, he's gonna answer.
Oh Lord.
And
yes,
when you ask him that, he's going to answer. And so
Yeah.
it's one of those things, like, just be ready to answer, to receive the answer, whatever it is, because you woke up, like you said, you got up and you had Famous Dave's right on your mind. It was right in the front. And
right on my mind.
You said
I gotta
Famous
get that
Dave's.
barbecue.
Right, Famous Dave's is what I want. Period. My mind is made up.
Right.
And God said, and Pastor Bell said, we have to be willing to allow God to interrupt our day, interrupt our plans.
Yeah.
And like, you allow God to say, hey, you know, you're not going to Famous Dave's. That's first of all. And you're not going to whatever other place you thought you was going to. You're going to Outback, and you're going to like it.
Yeah. I had a similar experience like that today, as a matter of fact. Got up and I did all of those things he said, because usually I get up and I listen to like YouTube, different prayers and Psalms 91 and all of that, right? So it's this lady, she already told me the week before. She's an older lady. She said, now, usually people give you tips afterwards. So the job I work at, they tell you like you're supposed to tip like 15%, right? So she's an older lady, and she came in and she told me the week before, she said, nah, you know I'm cheap. And I said, oh, okay. Yeah. So listen. So she came in, this is 3 weeks later, right? So I remember who she was. I remember what she said. But I know what I told God, and I know what God told me, okay? So I go in there. She was like, before we went in there, I'm going to just let you do your magic, right? So I was laughing with the coworkers. I said, now, I know y'all going to ask her for a tip, and y'all going to expect 15%. But she already told me she was going to be cheap. So she was like, well, if I were you, so people was like, I was not just her, but the coworkers, they was like, she wouldn't get the full experience. And I said, well, no. I said, because with me, I'ma always give you the full experience, because first of all, it's my God-given duty, because he told me to do it. Because now my carnal man said, yeah, I should give her the full experience, right? But I was obedient and found out that she had a serious issue going on. So I actually made her day that day, today. So I had to be obedient and listen to what God said, instead of, like he was talking about, listening to what people said, and, the carnal part of Crystal, what I really wanted to do.
Right. And God will bless you. It may not come through that young lady, but God can send someone else cross your path who will give you a tip that's exceedingly abundantly above. God will do that. He'll do stuff like that. Just because you were obedient and you didn't slack in your services to her. God will say, okay, well, since you was obedient, let me send somebody cross your path who is not stingy.
Yeah. And he's actually renewing my mind like that, though, because like in my field, they do that all the time. Like, it was like the tip, trying to get the tip. And he's made me be like, no, it's about the service. You know what I'm saying? So I don't even really think about it anymore. I used to, because of course I need the money. But now it's more so like, I want to make this person feel good. Even my reviews are more so than the tip. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look for people enjoying my services more so than the tip. Even though, I do want the tip. Nah.
But you know what? I'm looking at something that Pastor said. And when you said about your coworkers saying, oh, well, if it was me, I wouldn't, I would give her my service. I wouldn't give her the full experience. And Pastor Bell said that it's our job to make the will of God visible.
Ooh,
now that's good.
I feel like in that moment, You made the will of God visible to them.
Yeah.
You know, when people sometimes question people who aren't believers, sometimes they can question Christians about things. Well, how you know, and where God this and that and that. Well, that was God. That was that was God's will. His will is definitely for you to do the right thing. Like, so that's like one of those general things. Like, you know, it's not in God's will for you to do wrong by people.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Absolutely.
But I feel like you made His will visible in that moment.
Yeah. And I told them that too.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm gonna give her the full service.
Right. And that is so true, because Pastor also brought out, he said, sometimes you have too much flesh going on to prevent you from knowing the will of God.
Yeah.
And just like with me, when the Lord told me, don't go to Famous Days, I could have been like, well, Lord, I could allow my flesh to say, girl, you want some barbecue, you want that sweet and zesty sauce with the Wilbur beans and all that stuff. You know,
I'm tasting it right now.
That was my flesh. But if I would have adhered to my flesh, I would have missed out on being a blessing to someone, you know. And then God would have told, I'm not saying, I don't know how God would have did, but I'm sure He would have revealed to me, see what you missed out on, you know. So that's why it's so important.
He always do that too. That's one thing God will do. He will let you see what you missed out on, just like Moses. He let Moses see
the promised land.
But he didn't let him get it.
He couldn't enter. He couldn't enter in. You know,
the children of Israel.
He didn't let him see it. He let him see it, but he let him get it.
Right. We can't let other people deter us from the will of God. You know, because just like the children of Israel, they made Moses mad. Yeah, I'm telling you, because sometimes we have too much flesh going on. Your flesh want to do one thing, and God is telling you to do another thing. And sometimes we can be too relaxed in knowing the will of God. And what I mean by that is, we know we want to be in His will because we loved Him and we want to please Him. But sometimes we could be like, oh, I'll do that later.
Yeah.
You know, because I could have said, okay, Lord, I really want Famous Days, so I'm going to Famous Days, but I'll do Outback tomorrow. You know what I mean? But you missed it. I would have totally missed it because God is telling me today. To go to Outback. Today. It don't matter what my taste buds want, because I could deal with my taste buds later.
Okay.
But He's telling me today, you know, this is my will for you today.
Yeah.
And we often sometimes miss it because we look at God don't care about what restaurant I go to.
Right.
But He cares about every detail of our lives.
Yeah.
He does the way He's directing us. So we just have to be flexible and just say, okay, Lord, I know this is what I want to do, but what do you want me to do?
Yes.
Right. And you know what? I was thinking about, Pastor said, you know, we have to get familiar with God's interruption.
Woo!
You know, and we have to, and we also, and the way you do that is you have to be, the will of God is spiritually discerned. You know, if your spirit of discernment is not strong, it's going to be hard for you to identify when God is interrupting something in particular. Like you said, you know, if your spirit of discernment wasn't strong, you wouldn't have been able, listen, your flesh would have took over. Your flesh would have like, no, I want that sweet and tangy, spicy. I want these beans. I want this. I want what I want, period. I do not care.
Yes.
You know, and in order for us to be familiar with God's interruptions, we gotta be good listeners. And we have to be patient. We have to be patient. Because sometimes you can hear God say something and you don't quite understand it. And I just feel like because we're always in a hurry, if you don't understand something, you might still go ahead and, like you said, go on the Famous Days. Well, I don't understand why. And that's another thing he brought up too about being able to obey without reason.
Woo!
Because that's what you had to do. You had to obey without reason, because he wasn't about to go through the whole thing like, so listen, Sonia, when you get there, this was about to happen. You know, the boy gonna come out, he ain't gonna give you all your chain. He not finna break it all down for you like that.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He's not.
God, like, look, just do what I said.
Look, and that other voice, like, you gotta talk back to that other voice. Because I'm telling y'all, when I was in that session, all I kept hearing was, and I'm telling you, I know you gotta notice to recognize the voice of the enemy too, because the enemy was in there talking to me too while I was in the session. Like, yeah, you should do what they said. Why should you give them that whole, you know what I'm saying, crystal experience? I just kept trying to talk to me. I was like, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
Yep, you gotta shut him down.
No,
shut him
I had
down.
to shut it up because it kept talking too. Have that happened to y'all where it kept talking to you?
Yeah.
And you know, and then too, I believe when that happens, that's when there's a struggle, a battle going on. Because this is another example. I had went to Target. Target's line was so long until I had a basket. I had a few things in my basket, right? So I said, I'm not about to stand in this line. I'm not about to stand in this line. So God spoke to me. He said, okay, well, you're going to put every single item back where you got it from.
Ooh.
And what I was going to do, now see, sometimes when God speaks to us, we don't understand. But when that flesh get in the way, I had quite a few items. So I was going to leave it over. I was going to be nice and move it over to the side.
Yeah.
Up back close to the register. So one of the cashiers or one of the other representatives could put it back. Because in my mind, I'm like, well, that's what they get paid for.
Right.
In my mind, that's what my flesh said.
That's what my flesh was saying.
But no, the Lord say, oh, you going to either stand in this line or you going to put every single item back where you got it from.
Period.
Yeah.
And you know what I did? I looked at my basket. I said, well, I guess I'm going to stand in this line.
You better stand in that line.
I'm going to tell you. I can't even tell you. That line moves so fast.
Wow.
Look at God. Won't he do it?
I'm telling you, God is not going to let us represent. Now, didn't nobody in that store know that I was a Christian?
Uh-huh.
They didn't know that.
Uh-huh.
But God is not going to have us represent him any kind of way.
Come on now.
You're going to put all that stuff back where you got it from.
Come on now.
And then you can put the basket up.
That is so funny.
Hey, he said the last shall be first and the first shall be last. Look at you moving on up in that line.
That line went by fast. And it was a long line. If you ever go to that Target and on Plymouth,
yes,
the middle belt, they only have one line.
Yes.
Yes.
Y'all need
and they
to
have
do better.
multiple registers open, but one line. That line be all down.
Tarjay, y'all need to do better.
Listen, I have stood in that line at that exact store. Do you hear me? That thing was long, but I have to say, you know, thank God for his favor that rests upon my life. It did move fast. It looked really crazy, like walking up to it. Like once I got what I got and was like, oh, I'm gonna go get a line. I was like, oh my God, is this the line?
Yes.
Oh my God. But it did move fast, you know, and that is so funny. It's when you said it, I'm like, I was in that same line. I know exactly what you're talking about. But it's funny how we can think that day by day we get up and we in our routine, you know, these newer routines that we in right now, and thinking that we in the will of God, we good, we in the will of God, even though we don't wake up and say, oh God, what's your will for me today? We don't wake up and say that every day. But
we be scared.
In our own mind, we thinking, oh, I'm good. Like I'm praying. I love God. I ain't doing nothing wrong. I'm good. But see, God will reveal you to yourself in those moments, like when you was at Target, because we think that we sow this and we sow that and we got this together and our relationship with God is, you know, it's good. But listen, your relationship with God can always be better.
Yes,
He's going to continue to elevate you in your mind, and in your spirit, and he's going to use those opportunities, like Minister Sonia being in Target in that line and thinking she was going to just push this basket to the side.
I was going to do it neatly in my mind. Neatly to the side.
No, God said, see, it's always a little bit of your flesh lurking.
Yeah.
Ready to try to take over the will of God.
Uh-huh.
And this is exactly why we have to renew our minds on a daily basis.
Yeah.
The only way you're going to do that is fill yourself with that word. Pastor Bell said that Sunday, when he first got saved, he stayed in his Bible so much. Like, he said, because he wanted to know how he was supposed to live.
How he's supposed to live his life.
Yeah, he said, and if the word said do this, he did it. And if the word say don't do this, he didn't do it. And he said, and if it was something that he wanted to do but he shouldn't do it, he said he had to just build up that discipline. He had to work on disciplining himself. He didn't say it was easy. He didn't say, I did it and it was easy. No, you have to discipline yourself. You do, but the only way you're going to renew your mind is if you get in that word and feed your spirit, because whatever you feed yourself, by your ear, your eye gate or your ear gate, that's what's gonna come out. That's what's gonna show up in those moments, like in Target, in that split second where you have that split second of, do I push this basket over here? Do I go put this stuff back, or do I stay in this line? That's when what's on the inside of you comes out. Do I treat this lady like she's going to pay me well and tip me well at the end? Or do I treat her the way she's gonna treat me?
Yeah.
And that's when what's on the inside of you comes out. So we have to get the word in us by any means necessary. If you got the Bible app and you need to hear it, get it in there. You have to get it in as much as possible, because I'm telling y'all, we think we good until we get into a situation.
We being tested. Because I think about, if I wouldn't have done all of that stuff that I did this morning before I went to work, would I have been in my flesh and just listened to those people? You know what I'm saying? So daily, I try to get rid of the flesh. Daily. And now I'm starting to do a little bit more. I have to do a little bit more fasting, like he was talking about.
Yes, he did talk about
that. Fasting is very, very important to start to kill that flesh daily. I never understood that until now, like in this situation right now.
Yeah, people be sleeping on fasting. They be sleeping on fasting. Like, and I understand, like, nobody really wants to deny themselves, but the more you get in the habit of denying yourself, it just gets easier. Your whole perspective and your priority shift, because you're learning self-denial, and learning that with self-denial comes a stronger spirit of discernment, comes a greater relationship with God. Like, it goes hand in hand, and the fear of not being able to do what we want to do will always keep us from doing it.
That's that voice.
And we have a choice. Because just like you said, Sherry, whatever we feed ourselves the most, that's what's going to take over. But we have a choice. We have to choose at all times to do God's will and to obey his word. We have to make that choice, because if not, your circumstance or your situation can pull you in a whole nother different direction. And then we can start justifying. That's what we have to be disciplined. We have to ask God to help us to be disciplined, because we can justify why we want to do what we want to do. Because in Target, I could have justified, well, Lord, I'm running late. I got to hurry up. I don't have time to stay in this line. But regardless of that, whether you have the time or you don't have the time, we always have to find ourselves doing what God is telling us to do. And if we have enough word in us, we already know God has given us a conscience.
Yes.
We have a conscience.
You said we have to make time, and there's a song And I'm gonna say this before we in this particular episode. I just want to say there's a song by Jonathan McReynolds called "Make Room." I don't know if y'all ever heard of it. If you're watching and you never heard that song before, look up that song after you get done watching this.
Make Room.
Make Room by Jonathan McReynolds. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm telling y'all, that song right there helps me.
Amen.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing. And it talks about making room for God in your daily life, in your everyday things that you do.
Doing our Father's business. That's what he was talking about.
Yeah, be about his business.
And you can't be about his business if you don't make no time for him. If you don't make room for him to interrupt your plans, you can't be about his business because you about your business.
Yeah.
And if you don't know his voice, that's why it's so important. We have to know God's voice.
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of the day, he could be preventing us from going in the wrong direction or whatever, but we want to strategically hear his voice. That's why my prayer is, Lord, fine-tune my spiritual ears so that I will hear your voice above any voice.
Yeah.
You know, because I do want to please him. We want to please him as Christians.
Yes.
We want to please God. We want to do his will. We want to obey him, you know, but there's a war going on in our flesh.
Man.
In our flesh and in the spirit. The flesh don't want to do what the spirit is telling them to do.
Yeah.
You know, we want to do, the flesh is greedy. The flesh is prideful. The flesh is arrogant. The flesh want to do what it wants to do.
Yeah. Somebody used to say the flesh is ugly. It's just ugly.
It is. And you know, it's funny because you said the flesh is greedy, and Pastor said, I'm not sure if he said it Sunday, but I also been listening to Pastor Bell's radio show. Advertisement for that. Pastor Bell's radio show comes on Monday through Friday, 12:30 p.m. to 1 p.m. 14:40 a.m. And if you want to listen, you can go to our website, dlgc.org, and you can click Keeping the Word Alive, and you'll see a WMKM little logo. Click that, hit play, and you'll be listening. Somewhere, either he said it's Sunday or I heard him on the radio, but he said we have to really watch our appetite. We have to really watch having too much of something, because like you just said, you know, the flesh is greedy.
Yes.
And if you keep giving the flesh too much of something, and that something could be too much TV, too much Facebook, too much being around people who cussing, and because you taking all this stuff in. You taking it in.
And I didn't even realize
you feeding that flesh.
I didn't realize till I talked to both of you guys that was a test for me today. Like what happened to me today was actually a test, and I didn't even realize it until I was talking to you guys, because I'm like, oh, that wasn't nothing. Now I'm looking back like, oh, he was testing me today.
It's because you was at church Sunday virtually, and you're only responsible. You're only responsible for what you hear.
Yeah.
And because God, he know what you heard. He said, now let's see if you learn something. Let's see if you're going to take what you heard and actually apply it in a situation.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's one thing, like Pastor had brought out also, he said, get back to the will of God. And he gave us 4 points on how to get back to the will of God. But I want to bring out the very last one. You know, we have to submission. You know, we can't, he said, you can't do it your way.
Yes.
And he referenced back to Jonah. God told Jonah to go to Nineveh to preach to those people of Nineveh, and Jonah didn't want to go.
Yes.
And sometimes, you know, when we're not in submission, we're not submitted to God, we can cause others to get in trouble.
Woo.
Yeah.
Now, if Jonah would have said, y'all can throw me over the boat, you know, throw me over into the water, we don't know the Bible. I'm not trying to say what the Bible said.
We don't know what would have happened though.
But those people could have lost their lives because of that Jonah. Jonah was in disobedience, and he had other people in his circle that had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
So the point I'm trying to make is sometimes we can be in disobedience and we can cause trouble with our family.
And you know what? And that brings up a point, and we're going to wrap it up after this. And we thank y'all for hanging out with us. We know this is a little bit of a longer today, but listen.
This is good.
We giving y'all a 4-course meal, a 5-course full-course meal up in here. Okay?
Yeah.
Amen.
Appetizer, salad, dinner, and desserts. But see, now I done lost my train of thought. See, you doing too much. Doing too much.
That we cause other people to be in trouble because we're
right.
not doing.
I was just gonna say, you know, everything about you in your life is not just about you. It's about the people that are connected to you, whether it be family, whether it's at your job, but it's you. Everything is not just about you, and you can't be so selfish that you're gonna say, you know what, I'm not gonna submit to God. I mean, Jonah could have heard them freaking out on the boat, and he could have just sat there like, I don't know what's. He knew it was him. He could have just sat there like, I don't know what's. Y'all, throw some stuff off. Yeah, get the stuff off because we're gonna fall over. We both, throw the stuff. You know, like you said, he could have actually been responsible for people dying. So on that note, listen, y'all. Those of you that are watching, work on staying in God's will.
Yes.
Don't get so comfortable that you think you got it all figured out. And I challenge you for the rest of this week, as Pastor Bell said, when you get up, say, Lord, what is your will for me today?
Yes.
Just say that. You don't have to, even if that's all you say.
Yeah.
Try saying that for the rest of this week. Every day when you open your eyes, Lord, what is your will for me today? And so we just want to say thank you, Minister Sonia, for coming back for another Let's Talk Tuesday.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you. Thank you. Praise God.
We appreciate you so much. And so I think that's it. And also, listen, once again, if you didn't get a chance to bless Lady T, our first lady, for her birthday, which was Sunday, I just want to make sure that I say again that I'm going to put on the screen some information that you can, use if you would like to bless our first lady, Lady T, monetarily. And you can follow those instructions. And again, shout out to Pastor Bill. And also, speaking of Pastor Bill, make sure you tune in this Thursday for Interactive Bible Study. If you have never been
Interactive Bible
Study. Awesome.
We ain't gonna give them nothing. If you want to know what we talking about, come on over and see. It'll be on our Facebook page. We go live on Facebook. Pastor Bill's house, right at his house, and he is teaching us from the Bible. And he's allowing us to interact with him. Comment section on Facebook Live. All right. So make sure y'all check that out. Also, if you want to see Sunday's message on the will of God, which we were talking about here today, you can go right to our YouTube channel, and that message will be right there. The title is there. So go and check that out. It was a really, really good message. All right. And we just want to say thank you. And we'll see you next Tuesday for another Let's Talk Tuesday.